Hello, 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 and welcome to the D1 CKL primetime semifinals between the University of Michigan and the University of Waterloo. I am joined today by the lovely Wisp, and we cannot wait to get into this match.
Yes, we have a very, very big match on our hands today, and we get the double Alex cast today for this stream. So, very hype stuff. We got two very high stakes teams, two teams with very notable players on them. And let's just get into the rosters because we got some very cool people to go over here because these are some awesome teams. Just kind of waiting for it to switch over. All right. So right here we have University of Waterloo on their team. They have Pickley from the team LinkedIn. We have Iona from the team Speedstars. We have Ingide, who is from the team Sainsbury's, which y'all may know for winning Division 1 of MK Universal this past season. So very, very, big player on here. We have Boss Yoshi from the team Lumina Crash, and we have Snowboard and Intercept from they're not they're teamless, but I'm pretty sure they're really active on these teams. And then we have Michigan with Short from Team LinkedIn. So got a little bit of same like the teams they each have. Oh, there goes Top Hat. They each have a player from the team LinkedIn, so it'll be interesting seeing this like little teammates going up against each other kind of thing going on. We got Crow over here from Fire Hydrant, which is a very high D1 team. They didn't play in this past season of MKU, but little fun fact, JP Givener is on this team. So if y'all are familiar with him, you would know he's on this team, which is kind of cool. We have Fexican, also known as In Egypt, who is on the team Bone Dry Dudes. We have Shogger, who is on Lethal Vengeance. We have C2D2, who isn't on a team, but he is really active on University of Michigan, and we see him play in a ton of these matches. We also have Whooper from Arcadia Retirement Home. So, we got Unk hitting up on the track. So, lots of big stuff between these teams, too. Like just very powerhouse teams with some top players on them, like Ingite from Sainsbury's and Crow from Fire Hydrant. So big stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into this. This was the finals last season in D1,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy that we're seeing these two teams meet up in the semifinals. One of these two teams will not make the finals for 2 seasons in a row, and the stakes could not be higher. Right now, we see Waterloo and Michigan competing. Michigan to see if they can be the first team to win D1 twice, and Waterloo competing to see if they can be the second team to win 2 CKL gold banners. The only team to do so as of yet is UCSD, who's won a syllabus week and a CKL. Waterloo have the syllabus week, Michigan have the CKL. If either of them win, they're making history.
Yep. So big, big stuff. I know you were on UCSD too, so you have experience getting those two gold banners, which is pretty cool. But yeah, getting another team on the board with two gold banners would be insane. But again, that is if they can win finals. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. But this is semifinals, and having this high stakes of a match in semis is wild to me. Like I didn't think we get this stacked of a matchup this early on. So I am excited for this.
No, it's completely absurd. Both these teams are insanely strong. If you took them into MKU, they'd probably be like D4, D5, D6 level, which is the
Mm-hmm.
highest quality we've ever seen CKL. Both these teams have gotten better since last season. We see Snowbird joining the roster on the side of University of Waterloo. He was not on the roster last time, and he could be the key piece that could help them get further. He was the key piece in them winning syllabus week this season. And however, Michigan, they've not upgraded the roster, but they've all been on the grind. Short, especially, recently has changed his team. He's been at MK University, but he is now upgraded to Team LinkedIn, joining Fexican and Pickley and learning a lot from them. So I believe we are starting very, very soon. I cannot wait to get into this match.
Yes, and I'm assuming this is a best of three, so we got a lot of racing ahead of us. And since this is a best of three, we do have a rule where each track can only be played once across the entire set. So after game one, like going into game two, they can't pick any of the tracks that they chose in game one. So your track picks are very important in best of threes.
Absolutely. There's so much strategy involved in this. Will the teams use their best tracks during match one? Some of the tracks to look out for. Rock Mountain on the side of Waterloo. It's such a rare track to see, but they are masters of it. On Michigan's side, Koopa Cape is their best track. It's one to look out for. Another sneaky one would be Sweet Canyon, which ended up helping them win the championship last season. As we see, the University of Waterloo going to R-Dubs and Michigan pick that early Sweet Canyon. They're wanting to put fear into the hearts of Waterloo. The Waterloo players will no doubt remember their crushing loss on Sweet Canyon last season, taking away the D1 crown. However, as we go through the roulette, we get RWS. Waterloo want to get this out of the way early. One of Michigan's players, Fexican, ended up getting top 5 USA on this track. He is utterly absurd here, so we're going to be looking to see if Fexican can make his way up the field, as Pickley is on a troll combo going into race 1.
Insane start to the war here. Insane POV. We'll see how advantageous of a position this combo puts Pickley. So I'm excited to see. He'll be able to be pretty fat around these turns, bumping everyone out. Especially that draft. Yeah, he's able to bump C2D2 out pretty early on, but and gets the trail off too. We have Iona in first and Pickley in second. As long as Pickley doesn't line fail, he should be able to hold on to first pretty well, because the main drawback from a combo like this is that your acceleration stat absolutely sucks. So if he's able to hold his lines pretty well, he should be chilling. And he is in second right now, going to the end of lap 2, but we are probably going to see a good bit of people shoom up past him, so we'll see how well he holds on to this.
Yes, this looks like a top 3 right now for Waterloo, with Pickley letting his teammate by and just getting in the way. Wario's massive. Wario's just taking up the track. The Michigan players are struggling to get past him. He lets the plant through, but instantly reds it out and maintains his second, as Iona is beginning to break away in this race, and Michigan should start to think about going for the shot.
Yep, and yeah, we see first just breaking away a ton, and they're still holding on this top 3 pretty well. It does look like we have some Michigan players like just pretty far in the back, so they are going for shock, but it's just a matter of if they do get it, how hard is it going to affect Waterloo, because they are just breaking away with this right now. We do see Crow in third with a plant, so you know, Pickley, he's got to stay wide to avoid that, which is a little tough, but he does red him out instantly around the turn, giving them that top 3 once again.
That's just deja vu back to lap 1. I've been looking at the back of the minimap, and I've not seen the blue Yoshi in back go into a dodge in quite some time, so it's very possible he is holding it. If they have shock, it comes now. All of Waterloo's top players are past the set. However, if they don't have shock, if shock doesn't come now, it won't do anything. So Waterloo are just counting down the seconds as we see the shot come in. Multiple Michigan players are dodging, are coming up the field. It seems like Iona is gone in 1, but Michigan sees the spots behind them.
Yep. Oh, and looks like Short also went the silly combo that Pickley's on. But yeah, we see lots of Michigan people. They dodge, such as C2D2 and Sean. So we're going to see how effective this shock was. And they were able to get 2-3. But yeah, it looks like a lot of these Michigan players were kind of just stuck in the back and just weren't able to, you know, catch up after that shock, just because of how dominant Waterloo was in the top spots.
Absolutely. Waterloo got their lead early on RWS. It's considered by many to be the best runner in the game, and Waterloo are proving why that is. And while we're here, I'd like to take everyone's attention to the new CKL stream overlay. We can now see the point gap between the teams. This is revolutionary stuff. I know it's just a number, but it's so awesome to me. I don't have to do mental math in my head anymore.
No, same. You know, I cast here quite a bit. Having that is amazing. That is such a nice touch, such an amazing quality of life for us casters. And we see Waterloo picking a personal favorite of mine, Ninja Hideaway. I absolutely love this track. You know, people hate on me for it, but I mean, if you know where to go on this track, you can dominate on it. It is a really fun track. And oh, we are going back in time to Short's POV here, it looks like.
Yes, Ninja Hideaway is a fantastic track, and it is known as a Waterloo specialty. They were dominant on it last season. I have heard that Michigan practiced on it to prepare for them, and that was part of the reason why they were able to keep up and beat them in finals, is they trained for it. But Waterloo are still picking it. Let's see if Michigan remember their training and can take it, or if we'll see the Sweet Canyon and Waterloo will suffer another crushing defeat at the Canyon.
Yep. So we'll see, and it looks like we have a little sneaky Dolphin Shoals in there as well. So, you know, if it magically lands on that too, it'd be, we are going to Sweet Canyon. So we'll see how well this works out for Michigan, because they're going to have to take advantage of all the drafts they're going to get around that cannon, because they have a lot of spots to make up because they are all in the back here.
They do indeed. However, this is a great starting position to be in for Michigan. It is very easy to catch a draft in the first two corners, as well as after the landing of the cannon. And as we can see on this track at the very end of the lap is the famous donut shortcut, which saves a ridiculous amount of time. This track is like a mushroom gorge where you don't have to know how to take gap on. So let's see how the players get in. As we see a lot of Michigan players being hit out early, neutralizing their advantage of being able to draft up to the front.
Yep, and we see Short. Unfortunately, he gets hit out. He got hit out by his teammates, Triple Greens. Not too much you can do there, but I mean, he's gonna be able to cut up and make up a lot of ground super early on. And luckily, having the Shroom all the way up in this mid pack is super good. This is gonna put him in a great position going into lap 2. So we see lots of Michigan players up here. We actually see, yeah, we have 3 of them up here in top 6. This is kind of even between the two teams up here, but gotta be careful of Iona's trail, because that can, kill some people. It looks like he got rid of it there, so we'll probably see Short Shroom up on landing here, but no, he is opting to hold it, and it looks like there are some Waterloo people getting redded out. He's holding onto the screen on the blue path. We'll probably see him chuck it up here at Iona. Unfortunately, running into the Nana is quite unfortunate, kind of sending him back a little bit, so he is going to have to probably go for some pretty good power items, because he's going to have to start making it back. As the mini-map, we see lots of Waterloo up there.
Yeah, it's looking like Waterloo has won the dogfight at the start. We see Whooper, the lone blue Yoshi, in a sea of red up at the front. However, there's a cannon set here, and Michigan are in bottom 2. They're in prime position to pull a shock here. Keep an eye on Shogger at the back of the map, the little blue birdo. It doesn't look like he's going into dodge. He has a bill. He instantly build up. Could he have shock behind that bullet bill? Could we see a second Michigan shock in as many races as Short looks to make some magic happen with these triple greens, but gets trailed out by Pickley? If there's shock, it comes now.
Yep, we see, yeah, it looks like Waterloo, they're just starting to get another small break up there at the top. Yeah, Short just pulling shrooms from this item set, switching over to Pickley POV, and we see him just taking the shortcut, barely able to edge out a few more spots, and he ends up in 5th place here. And the spots at the end of this are going to be a top 3-5 for Waterloo. They were just able to just take advantage of this track pick. They were just able to have such good front presence and just show dominance against University of Michigan as they hold on to their spots.
This was a fantastic race for Waterloo. You could tell they were affected by it last season in finals. They learned from it, and they didn't let Sweet Sweet Canyon be a demon in their heads again this time. And they've extended the lead to 34 points already in 2 races. Michigan need to find something. They need to find something quick. Will we see them going with good old Koopa Cape, where they bring out a train bow for their bottom spots this race?
Yeah, it looks like over here for Waterloo, we're going with Hyrule Circuit, and it looks like with the University of Michigan, we're going for Mushroom Gorge. Mushroom Gorge is a pretty solid resetter track here, and it looks like we're going to Hyrule instead, which is, really good for Waterloo here just because of its insanely good running capability. But also, Hyrule is also known for having some really good catch-up potential as well, just because of how crucial having shrooms and stars are at the end, just because of that little plant after the Nisk.
Hyrule's got to be the most paradoxical runner in the game. There's so many shortcuts in it, and you think he'd be a perfect bagger, but time and time again, he's one of the best runners in the game. That is due to the abundance of coins. The players in front can just get 10 points so early in the race and just break away, and it doesn't matter how many shrooms are pulled. It won't matter. As we see Pickley getting hit out early, we see Waterloo do retain the lead up front. However, the blue players are trying to chase them down as Pickley gets a back on Shogger. Surely increasing the tensions amongst the Michigan camp, as we see a lot of Michigan players continue to get hit out. They will not be happy with how this race has started for them.
Yep, cutting over to Short POV, we have 2 shrooms in 6 here. Gotta have a watch out for Ingite's triple greens here, because they can be kind of deadly to him and Fex again. Bomb up! I think that might have gotten one of the Michigan people, but again, Short has to be careful. He is trailing this red and gets hit by the green from Ingite. Pickley just getting redded instantly after Short dies, and we see First is starting to make a little bit of a break.
You can tell that
Pick away, like Top said earlier, they are able to get lots of points.
You can tell that the Waterloo players are starting to get into
What?
Michigan's heads. Short is one of the most calculated players I know, yet he's ready instantly to hit Pickley instead of waiting to hit him where it hurts and get him off glider. Michigan need to control their tilt right now as they're making lots of mistakes that they don't normally make. However, Short has a star in a fantastic position. If he can make something work, we will not know. As we swap back to Pickley's point of view, we see C2D2 alone in 4th with Wooper in 6th behind. C2D2 is out of defense. If Pickley can make something happen with these greens, C2D2 is finished, and it's looking really, really good once again for Waterloo. This is top 6able. We see Shager way in the back going for shock, but I don't think it's enough. There are 6 of top 8 right now are Waterloo, as Pickley, that when the player gets hit, Short has a plan, Short is making stuff work. However, as we go to the end of the race, we see a top 2 for Waterloo with many spots after. They extend their lead, however, Freddie coming in clutch with a star, forcing Pickley to the back to salvage a couple points for Michigan, which could come in handy later in this match.
Yeah, that is a top 2, 4, 5 for Waterloo there, which is an insanely good race for them. They are just getting the gains that they need to start breaking away really early on. And the thing is, even though we're not even done with the first GP, having this big of a point differential can really get into Michigan's head. And as comebackable as it is, it's just such a mental battle to get over that the opponents already have this big of a point diff. So right now, Michigan, their goal is to like just dial in, not let this loss by 54 this early on get to their heads, and they need to start making a comeback.
I think if any team can do that, it is Michigan. They've got one of the strongest mentals in the league. In Season 1, they won Division 2. In Season 2, they had a heartbreaking loss in both Syllabus Week Final and in the CKL Division 1 Finals, and everyone thought it was over for them. Crow was graduating. They were losing their star player. However, he ended up re-signing. They got it together, and they dominated in the D1 Finals, despite many people expecting Kutztown to win it over them. So, do not count Michigan out yet. People have doubted them before. People are going to continue to doubt them. However, it is a fool's errand to do so as we go to their track pick of Mushroom Gorge.
Yeah, Mushroom Gorge is going to be really good for them because, as we've seen, it looks like a lot of these Michigan players have just been getting killed and sent to the back, and having a track like Mushroom Gorge allows them to take advantage of these bottom spots and get stuff like stars and shrooms, where they can take the gap cut that we see at the end here and just make insanely early like leads, but also very good comebacks at the end. So this is just kind of a track they need to just reset the playing field. As we see Short with a Shroom in 4th here, we're going to see him take gap along with Crow here, which is exactly what they need. They're starting to get a pretty early lead, but as long as there is no like very devastating blue or shot here, they can be in a pretty good position.
Something to note is that Waterloo currently occupy, I believe, 3 of the bottom 4, if not all 4 of the bottom 4 spots. So they are surprisingly in the better position in this race. If they can pull Shock on a track like this, Shock is deadly. You are not able to take the gap cut. We saw on lap 1, all of the Michigan players started to run. However, the Waterloo players hung back. They went and got their dodges. And while it looks like Michigan advantage, this could easily turn into a massive race for Waterloo. As we head into lap 3, Ingrid is alone at the front in terms of Waterloo, as we see the shock coming in, a very early shock. Waterloo ripping the shock in an unpredictable manner, so Michigan would not be prepared for it, and it seems to be working as Ingrid is already up to 1st. We see Pickley getting the double up to 6th. He's got a mushroom in pocket protected by triple green, so he's in a fantastic position to take the cut at the end as Rupert is trying to get him in the star. Let's see what happens as we approach the gap cut wisp.
Yep, and we just gotta hope that Pickley just doesn't green out Wooper here. Chooses to back them instead, barely makes the gap, and it looks like someone was able to make gap with a Bill as well. We'll see what the spots are here at the end, but I think, yeah, we get a top 2, 4, 5, 7, 10 from Waterloo. They were just able to make up all of those spots instantly with that shock, and that is just insane. They were able to come back just like that with all of the dodges they got because they were able to carry Shrooms up pretty high into those top spots and just take gap and just have such an insanely good race. And now they are up by 78 after the first Grand Prix, which is insane.
It is so risky to run Mushroom Gorge like that. I can't fathom doing it. If I was in Michigan's position that race, I would be sweating buckets. But they saw they were down. They saw they needed to take risks. And I think they're absolutely right in taking risks. If they want to make up this deficit, sure, they could slowly chip away at it. But one more bad race will make it very, very hard to surmount. Whereas if they can take risks, if they can get a big plus 32, plus 36, plus 40, they're right back in the match as we see Cloud Top Cruise being picked by Waterloo. Fexican on is on record saying this is one of his least favorite tracks in the game because you can just keep one for free. There's nothing you can do to hit out first. There's no shortcuts you can take to keep up, to catch up. First doesn't get bumped on the super bounce. This track is so heavily favored towards one in Fexican's own words. So let's see if he can prove himself wrong and make something happen as we get into the Cloud Cup Cruise.
Yep, this beginning right here can always be a little scary. We see Looper instantly pulling a red. Oh no, and I think the red ended up hitting 2 of his teammates, which is quite unfortunate, but honestly, that's perfectly fine. If you're having people up there in the top, it is always good to have people in the back just in case, you know, blue gets pulled and you need someone to hold it for you, or maybe you pull it shock and you can take advantage of it rather than your opponent. So even though they got hit out, it's really not the end of the world as it's only lap 1. But right now we see 2 Waterloo people up there in the top starting to make that much more of a breakaway. But Pickley down here in 8th place. Let's see what he can do to catch up in this pack. So we see him, yep, he's opting to get these triple greens out and be really aggressive with them. And we see cutting over to Short's POV, trying to navigate around these triple greens in 4th place here, trailing that red instantly for defense, defending his teammate C2D2 in front of him as they try to break into top 2 here.
Yes, we are going to see Waterloo play very, very safe in these remaining 7 races. They don't need to gain points, they just need neutral races, and they're showing a textbook example of that, having a player sit in 12th, they're ready. They won't let Michigan get a big shock on them, and if they pull shock, they can be in a great position to make something happen. However, they can rely on their top players up front. However, Ingite gets hit out, and so does Iona as we move into... Never mind. Iona gets the banana snipe on C2D2, but Short hits it out right after. This is chaos at the start, but it results into Short being in 1st place. However, it is very, very close. We see Bird from Waterloo right behind him. The new Waterloo pickup. He was not here last season in finals. Can he be the difference maker now as he's trying to hit out Short? We see Blue coming. We see Boss predicting the drop, and we see Short getting blued on cannon. That is a master stroke from Waterloo as they head into a top 4 position now in this race with players close behind. This is looking like another massive race for Waterloo as they look to extend their lead.
Yeah, that was insanely big. They were able to predict the dropout from Short there in 1st place, which is insane. As we're going to wrap up this race here with all those bananas on the leaf, that is a deadly trap for any players taking the shortcut. That is a top 4 from Waterloo there. That is an insanely good race. They were able to take such good advantage of that. Short was running away in 1st, and he ended up in 10th just because Waterloo knew that dropout was coming because Short had to waste his shroom to get rid of the blooper ink. And that just, you know, ended the race for him right there. It was such a risky play to get rid of that blooper ink just for better traction, but it ended up not working out in his favor, unfortunately. And now they got an even bigger point differential to make up. They are now down 104 against Waterloo, and we are just now going into the halfway point. So they got a lot of work to do if they want to make this really good.
I think Short actually made the right decision getting rid of the blooper ink and getting rid of his shroom, as it allowed him to cycle for defense. We saw that right away after getting defense, Bird behind him was able to red it out. If he had held that shroom, he would have gotten redded out anyways, and Waterloo would have just held the blue. So either way, Short is in a lose if you do, lose if you don't situation because of the pressure that Waterloo put on him. The key moment in that race was Iona sniping out C2D2 on the leaf, causing him to not only lose 1st, but also fall off the map and leave Short completely alone and undefended at the front. And now we see Michigan with their counter pick to Waterloo with Animal Crossing on the winter variation. We've not seen Michigan pick this in the past. This is a new pick they've been labbing out. It's possible the Winter Edition has put a stop to their plans. This is the hardest version to drive, or maybe they were hoping just for this so they can skill gaps. We see Freddy and C2D2 already at the start of this race.
Yep, we see Pickley being very aggressive towards C2D2 with that green shell. We're swapping over to Short's POV, who's going to be playing the back game, and which, you know, he kind of has to do because right now, Waterloo has like 3 out of 4 of these bottom spots, so they got really good shot odds. So having someone like Short back here to keep an eye on what's going on is very important, as he is going up to 10th place here. We're going to see him, just chug right through the set here. You know, it looks like they have someone staying back there, so he's pretty good to kind of run up with a dodge here because there is a chance they can be pulling shock, and we see lots of Michigan up there in the front as well. But maybe, you know, University of Michigan, I don't know, maybe they can pull something that can kind of just keep their lead, because for all we know, with how powerful Waterloo has been on these past few races, they could make a really good push at the last second to break into these top spots.
They can, absolutely, and we see since Sean has built up, Waterloo have 3 of the bottom 4 spots. Short is staying so far back to watch out for that shock, as we see the Michigan player in 1 getting blued. If shock doesn't happen, this could be big for Michigan, as they are top 2 with many players in close pursuit in the mid-pack. We see the shot coming in, and Short ends up being the highest dodge. I believe that was a Waterloo shock, but it is benefit Short, as we see Whooper also getting the triple mushrooms from the glider and shrooming up. Short now has triple greens behind Iona, but makes a slight error and gets starred by Ingite, but he does pull a shroom for final shortcut, but gets fired off the gap. This will be last place for Short, but it looks like his teammates are able to get top 2 this race, and we see Michigan finally stemming the bleeding. Michigan with a +2 race going into the second half. They need to start making up points. This is a start. It's not enough yet, but it could just be the start of something special.
Yep, we are now halfway through the first match here. Now, I will say this point differential is really, really scary from Michigan's POV, because 102 is a lot, especially going halfway through. You got a lot of work to do. If I were in University of Michigan's position, you know, get that mental clear, because that is scary. And, you know, maybe they're in a position where they might need to start working on picking track picks that Waterloo can't pick in match 2, because they might also be in a position where, hey, maybe they need to start thinking about pushing this to a game 3, just because this is a really, really difficult point differential to recover from.
I agree. However, letting yourself being 1 game down to a team like Waterloo is very, very scary. You do not want to be in that position at all. I believe Michigan are still trying. I think we'll see them try up through race 8 or 9, depending on how this race goes, and then we might see both teams picking the tracks that will be their opponent's picks, as I believe this is Waterloo picking good for their spots, but Twisted Mansion is one of the fantastic tracks that Michigan have made a name for on, and we see Waterloo picking it, possibly get it out of the way, but possibly because it can give them a great race if they all pull shrooms in the mid-pack. However, we see Short pulling a shroom and getting insta-trailed out. That is a fantastic play from Waterloo once again, as they seem to win the aggression battle at the front every race.
Yep, and we see Short chilling now in these bottom spots, but as you see on the minimap, there is lots of Waterloo in the back. So they are right now in prime shock position pretty early on, but, you know, we see Short kind of slowing down here just a little bit, which he kind of needs to do, or okay, we see someone in the back there from Michigan, which they desperately need just because of how much Waterloo is back there, because they cannot let them have all of the shock odds here. So right now we see I think we see a little bit of Waterloo up there in the front. Short opting to stop the set, maybe pulling a dodge here. I don't know, because they might be pulling something, because he was kind of stopping all the way from the mid pack, but we'll see what they have in store for us.
This is a very, very close pack right now. I don't think anyone's at range to pull shock, as Short misses another box there, getting starred by Bird from Waterloo for his efforts. I think right now we will see him slow down. It's looking like a Waterloo favorable position right now in the race. Michigan might need shock, or they might just utilize the first at the start of the lap shortcut. As Short pulls blue, the Waterloo player is in first, however it is not being thrown. We see it coming out right now. Will Pickley manage to drop for blue in time? He attempts to, but he gets hit by it anyways. The blue drops are just not working in this match today. Both teams are so aware. Both teams are on their A game right now. They're calming to their teammates. They're making sure no one gets caught unprepared, as we see 2 packs form right now, a top 6 group and a bottom 6 group. The bottom 6 group will have much better items heading into the end of this race, as it seems to be Michigan advantage at the front, as Waterloo hold a lot of the bottom spots. However, we do have the courtyard shroom up coming. Let's see if Waterloo can make something out of it.
Yep. Having all of these triple shrooms at the end is pretty lucrative, but Pigley unfortunately getting sent to the back just because he ended up accidentally taking the lower floor there into the building. Barely able to scrape out in 11th place there. That is a top 2, 5-6 from Michigan. They are starting to get some decent races, but they're going to need to, they bring the point differential under 100 now, which is good. They just need to get some really big races to swing this even more in their favor. This is a great start, but they're going to need some really big races.
Yeah, that's points on the board. However, Waterloo get closer and closer to that magic number of 493, which is what is required to win. As we see slightly different picks from Waterloo, we see mostly Koopa Cape and we see a Piranha Plant Cove. TikTok Clock is one of Michigan's best runners, as well as Koopa Cape being one of Michigan's other best tracks when they have the bottom spots. So we see Waterloo going to waste Michigan track picks early. Could this come back to bite them later on in the match?
We will see, but it is looking like we're going to TikTok Clock, which, like you said, is one of their best runners. So I'm kind of hoping that they're able to take advantage of this, because they're starting to get some track luck on their side, and they need to take advantage of it because they need every point they can get to swing this back into their favor. This is the last race of the second Grand Prix, and it is crunch time for them. They need to make it happen, and I think TikTok Clock being their track pick is a great starting point. So we'll see what they can do this race.
Yes, I mentioned Cloud Top Cruise being described as by Fexic as one of the 2 runners that you just can't lose first on if you drive it right. The other one that Fexic talks about is TikTok Clock. If you drive this track correctly in one, you do not lose one. It is as simple as that. As we see Michigan already off to an early great start, as they seem to have top 4. And on TikTok Clock, breaking top 4 is so hard unless these players miss the clock and shortcut, as we see another player getting rented out. Top 5 now for Michigan. C2D2 is alone at the back with the Waterloo players, as Michigan are looking for the big race they need to catch right back up in this match.
Yep, and the blue is out. However, I don't know how much damage that is going to be doing to these top spots, just because there is so much Michigan up here, but we do see some Waterloo invading. We have Pigley here in 7th place here, who does have a good bit of shrooms, and we have Ingite with a star. Then we have Pigley with another star. So they have lots of good items here. We do see some Waterloo in the back, so maybe if there is a potential shock, it could be good, but Short getting unintentionally fall dodged off the track by that horn is insane. We see him in 6th place, 5th place with a red here, choosing to shoot it straight towards that Iona here, getting some spots. It looks like we have lots of top spots from Waterloo, but that blue is going straight for them. Right now, Short is in a pretty prime position to take over the top spots potentially, so we'll see how well he can take advantage of it with these shrooms. Just trying to see if he can get some good items from these boxes, but it's not looking like he's getting anything of use as his triple greens get ghosted.
Yes, this shock was amazing for Waterloo. It completely saved their race. We saw Pigley and Ingite both with a star in high positions, and Ingite got another star behind that star as we saw him dodge the blue with his star, turning what looked like to be a great race for Michigan into a top 2 for Waterloo. And I think at this point, both teams will realize the match is pretty much over and start going for the opposing team's track picks. However, Michigan do get a very, very slight gain of +2 right there, getting a lot of mid spots. Despite the shock from Waterloo, it was not enough for all their players to catch up, only the players who are already high up with stars. So who knows, Michigan still have a little bit of life in this match, as I believe we have 4 races remaining. Let's see what they pick as we are on Short's point of view right now. Will we see a Michigan track? Will we see Big Blue? I don't know who picks that track.
Very interesting track pick here. And from Waterloo's side, we will be seeing DK Jungle, which is a pretty high-tech runner with a very crucial super bounce at the start. However, that super bounce is also pretty dangerous as you can get bumped off, but it is looking like we are going to Big Blue. One notable thing about Big Blue is that it has an insanely broken cannon set right before the beginning of Section 3, just because it is super easy to pull bills and shocks and blues. All of the big power items can be easily pulled from there just because of how cannon sets work with the distance-based item system.
Absolutely. However, just because there's a cannon set doesn't mean it is the only thing that determines the race. Winning the battle at the front is very, very important. On this track, there's a very short window to get your shock out because everywhere else has boost panels. The ideal spot to shock is when the top spots are after that conveyor belt boost panel section at the start of lap 3. They will be caught with no boost panels for about 15 seconds. However, if Michigan can get a big lead and get shocked on the boost panels, it won't matter. That shock is in play as they seem to start off very, very well. Have they been practicing this track as they have a lot of top spots at the very beginning? As you see Waterloo in the back, most likely going for shock again, looking for a shock to salvage the race just as they did on TikTok Clock. We're heading closer and closer to the cannon set. Michigan players are beginning to think about dropping. What is going to happen next?
All right, you see Pickley actually, who's all the way in the back in 12th here. Pickley, of all people, is in a pretty good position along with Ingite going into this cannon set. There's a good chance we can see some big items. You see Pickley going instantly into his bill, not even waiting to land. Is there potentially
I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it. He would have held his bill or they would have shocked then. He's trying to get it now. This is looking fantastic for Michigan. His shock is not in play yet. However, the players are at distance to pull one right now. As we head into the final few corners of this lap, Pickley narrowly avoids the bomb. This is looking really, really good for Michigan. However, Short gets hit over the gap. Michigan do keep the top spots right now, but it's looking like Waterloo controlling the mid spots as Iona gets hit on the line. Sean is slowing down to try and red. However, it does look like Waterloo got all the spots behind the first place of Michigan. Never mind, there's a top 2, 5, 6, 9. That is another slight gain by about 14 to 16 points or so. And Michigan are putting up numbers, but I don't think it's enough right now as we have 76 points with 3 races to go.
Yep. Fun fact, if Michigan, no, not Michigan, Waterloo, if Waterloo gains +4 here, on this next race, it is mathematically impossible for Michigan to win.
Michigan are throwing in the towel. Michigan are throwing in the towel. They're picking Ninja Hideaway. They could still win. Don't get me wrong. If Ninja Hideaway gets picked, they still could win. They still could get a masterclass race, but they're trying to remove it from Waterloo's hands and are successful in doing so. Michigan have shifted their attention to match 2. I think this is very smart from them. As we've seen these past few races, they have the pace to compete. They have the strategies to compete. They've made up 24 points already on Waterloo. If they can keep this momentum in the next match, this is fantastic. And they're getting rid of Waterloo's best track pass.
Yep. Ninja Hideaway, like I said earlier, very, very technical track. There's lots of stuff going on in this track. And one thing that makes it kind of difficult for some people is that there is a very big lack of coins on this track. So, you kind of just got to have really good lines to be able to keep up here or just be able to take a lot of these shortcuts here. And it looks like we see them going for the top path here, which supplies them with all of those coins that they need. We see Pickley in 4th place with a green and a nana here. So we'll see how aggressive he can be with these Michigan players getting that trail out. Getting one of the Michigan players still holding on to this Nana to try to be aggressive towards Short behind him. We see C2D2 up here, and we're cutting over to Short's POV, who has triple greens in 4th. Really good position behind these Waterloo players. He's going to chuck them up into the pack and killing one of them out. Barely getting clipped by the fire. He's got to be careful around this last bit of fire that's behind him, and we'll probably see him take this no item shortcut. But again, you've got to be careful around Ingite. Yeah, he's opting to go around here just to avoid getting hit by that blue explosion, and is able to hold first because he did that.
That is very clever play by Short right there. However, he has now been left defenseless in 1. If Waterloo pull a red behind him before this set, he is in so much danger, but he seems to have escaped unscathed. As we head into the final lap here, I do see a lot of Michigan players in the back as Short manages to pull double defense, but makes a slight line fill, but has an amazing recovery with a Kusan slide to save it. Let's Boss into 1st, letting him open up the shortcut for never mind, trailing him out because of the lag, because of how amazingly built this game is. Let's see your Nisk Short. Are you ready? Oh my god,
ooh, that is a really good Nisk.
He's inventing lines right now and it's working. This is amazing to see from Short. Michigan are in a fantastic position right now. C2D2's in the back, but I see only blue at the front with the exception of Ingite. So we shift to Pickley in the back. Schauger has a star. He's in his star right now. Pickley gets hit. This is looking so good for Michigan. Maybe they're wishing they saved this for later in the race.
Yep. And it looks like Pickley last second star golden don't think it's going to gain him many spots, but this might be a bottom 3, bottom 4 for Waterloo. We'll see. Oh, it looks like a top 2, 5, 7. So I think some of the Waterloo, they were able to break in towards the end, but I mean, they were very dominant on this track towards the end. It was looking very promising for Michigan to get a very, very good race, and it's still a game. I mean, they still can mathematically win, but they're gonna need like basically top 6s here.
Yeah, once again, it is a gain from Michigan, but it's not enough. Like, they still stay alive in this match. Right now, they need to get this number under 40 points if they want to still have a chance going into the final race. We see them each picking the opposing team's tracks. Again, we have all water tracks on the board, so we see Pickley swapping to the Streetle. It's likely most of his teammates will do the same. Streetle has so much speed and these underwater sections here that there's no point in using any other combo. Piranha Plant Cove is almost solely underwater other than a small section on lap 1 and lap 2. They're just going to break away all the players on Streetle. Let's see if Michigan have done the same, have done their homework, know what to be on. As we see...
Oh, wow. Mostly
that's
Waterloo.
Just Waterloo on Streetles. The entirety of Waterloo, bar 1, is on Streetle, but it looks like Michigan is on the Teddies. They didn't catch the memo. Michigan, what are you doing? As it is advantage Waterloo as we head into Piranha Plant Cove.
Yep, you see Pickley, who is just taking some very nice lines here, getting all of the Kusan slides, grabbing the coins from the geyser, and it looks like we only have Short here in this top 3. And, okay, that was just lag from the rock there, but it looks like we see lots just mixed tops here, but I mean, hey, we'll see if anyone goes for that big shortcut, but oh no, it looks like we have Short here, who's chucking the bomb up, unfortunately does not connect with Iona, so we're going to see what Pickley and Iona can do in this top 2 position to hold on to these spots as we see Pickley pop that Nana instantly to defend the Reds going for him. He is just being hyper aggressive with these trails just to know, like, hey, don't try and get near me. Oh, and he gets smart bounced by the green, but luckily that is all Waterloo behind them. I think that is almost top 6 from Waterloo at the start.
Yeah, once again, we see Waterloo winning the aggro battle at the start. They've been so good at just using their items to hit out the Michigan players and develop a lead. We see Iona is so far gone in the front. However, Blue Shell is coming. Short is stopping to potentially get a dodge. He has 2 of them now. He's trusting on his teammates to pull Shock. Right now, I think Shock is just about the only thing that will keep Michigan left in this match and make it to race 12 if we want to see a thriller. So we see Short pop the first of his 2 dodges. He's saving the second one for later. He has another one. He could use this dodge as well to start gaining positions as well, as we see him start to use the items in his Crazy 8. He throws the red up. He's in his star now. The blooper is out, hoping to slow down some of the Waterloo players, and he still has his Ghost on field with triple reds behind. Short needs to create something right here, but he does get hit by the fire from Boss. He hits him out. If Michigan have Shock, it needs to come now. Otherwise, Waterloo are winning this first match if they can keep their top 3. I believe that's Ingai and a star in third. A Shock won't be enough right now as Short gets redded on the set. Waterloo are strolling along to a match 1 victory right now. Their players getting blued on the line. I don't think it is enough. It is game point for Waterloo as we finish this first match.
Yep, we're going to see just try to see whatever spots they can salvage here, but it is not going to do anything for them just because they did not get the point differential under 40, and that is a top 4 from Waterloo on Piranha Plant Cove. That is the Streetle diff on a track that is mostly underwater. The water speed on the Streetle is so insanely good. You can just create big breaks if you, 1, you know how to drive the track, and 2, you're just running Streetle, so you're just by default faster than everybody else on the field, and they were able to show it off there. And now it is a point diff by 88. Right now, both teams are just going to have to start burning the opponent's tracks so they cannot use them in the upcoming match 2. And that match 2 is where Michigan is going to have to lock in, because them winning that match 2 and pushing it to game 3 is the difference between them making it to finals and, leaving right now.
Absolutely. Right now, Michigan's hopes of being the first ever team to win CKL twice seems to be hanging in the balance. I mean, Piranha Plant Cove is just such a technical track. It's so hard to drive. You need to be very practiced on it to be quick. And Waterloo showed they have that experience. They know what they're doing there. And right now, we're going to a track on a completely different end of the spectrum. Sunshine Airport is one of the simplest tracks in the game to drive. Who is that on the bird combo? Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Koopa Varmint. Is that
Yes.
Varmint?
No, it's just
No, that's the
standard
sport
bike.
bike. It's not quite Koopa Varmint. I'm sorry, Bird, but the Cooper reference is so good to see in CKL D1 semifinals. We love our lightweight mains. But let's see how this race is going on as Short is shrooming up into first place. However, he gets bumped out by Enor, who is also shroomed up, and Inguide is trailing Nana in two as Short has to back off and let them concede the lead. No, he's still contesting it. He outcoins him. He gets the draft and he hits the double item. He has a green. He's taking it out. Can he get the trail off on Enor? No,
Ooh.
Inguide trails him out, and Short ends up greeting his teammate. This is a disastrous start for Michigan as we head into the bragging rights race.
Yep. And we see Pickley, who is in first place, surrounded by his teammates in a very solid position. And we see some Michigan in the back that you've got to be wary about. But right now, Waterloo is looking pretty safe in this top 3 position right here. And it looks like they have some other top spots as well. So very good stuff from them, just holding on to this. We see a bottom 3 from Michigan. Maybe they can pull shock. I don't know. But right now, this is just tons of dominance from Waterloo here. So right now, this is just a don't line fail challenge or don't get triple Reddit challenge because they have a ton of top spots right now.
They do indeed. However, we see the shot coming. It surprisingly gets the Waterloo players into set. Maybe that is a Waterloo shot. However, I don't think it is, seeing as Inga is getting shock viewed at the same time. However, it is still advantage for Waterloo as Pickley is trying to trail out his teammate for the Indies. Pickley wants to come first in this race. We see a second shot from Michigan. That is why it came so early. This could be huge from Michigan. However, it does get the Waterloo players onto the boost panel. We see the fire coming in, but Enor's getting the boost panel. He keeps the same speed he would have while big because the boost panel is boosting him along. However, he does get hit out. We see Pickley in first with Short close behind, but Short drafts into first. He gets the double item. He gets the midi turbo. He's trailing in one. Can Short maintain the first? No, Ingai has a horn behind him and hits him out. Ingai takes the lead as it looks to be a massive Waterloo advantage at the front, but the pack is so close. This is awesome to watch. I don't even know who won. It's Ingai. Of course it is. Who else would it be but Ingai to win as Waterloo continue their dominance throughout match 1, taking us into a 1-0 lead for Waterloo. However, many other tracks are gone. Can we see them repeat the same magic into match 2?
All right, and we see top 2 from Ingai and Iona here, putting up big numbers, and that is going to be a win for Waterloo game 1. Now, again, all of the tracks that we just saw these people play, they cannot pick them in the next match because there are no repicks across this entire set here.
Absolutely. This
So
may
right
look...
now, this is just picking up all of the...
So
What were
I'm
we gonna
lagging.
say?
Go ahead. No. There's a lot of lag on my head. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, there is right now. They're just gonna have to pick all of the other tracks that they got, assuming that they just use a lot of their really good tracks. Now they have to pick all of their backups here to try and salvage a win to put it into game 3 territory for Michigan. Because right now it's looking kind of scary for them. I will say though, towards the second half, it was actually looking kind of promising for them. They were actually able to keep it much closer. So if they're able to have an entire game 2 like that, then maybe we can see a game 3, which would be very, very cool.
Absolutely. The Michigan still have their big 3 still on the board. They still have Koopa Cape if they need to shroom up. They still have DK Jungle, which is one of their best runners. And they still have Daisy Cruiser, which Crow especially is insane on. So I would not count out Michigan. However, that is the end of match 1 for now. We're going to head into the break. Keep thinking, what does Michigan need to do to catch up? But we will see you soon. We can't wait to get into match 2 at the top of the hour. Thank you so much. It's just a short intro. All right, welcome back to match 2 of this clash between Titans of University of Waterloo versus University of Michigan. For those of you that missed match 1, we saw an absolutely dominating performance from the University of Waterloo. Iona especially was on fire, hitting out every single Michigan player he could find at the start and creating so much space for his teammates to run. However, Michigan have a lot of their strongest tracks still left on the board as we go into this match too, and as they've shown many times in the past, are not out yet. Wisp, what do you think Michigan needs to do if they want to win this match too?
Right now, Michigan, this is when they need to pull out their big tracks. Tracks like Koopa Cape that we said last match is one of their better tracks. This is when they need to start ripping it. And they're going to need these track picks because they're going to need every point they can get. Because right now, they are on the chopping block. They are on the, on the chance of losing the whole thing right here. This match too means so much to them just because if they don't make this, they're not making it into finals, and that means no 2 banners for them. So, pretty important match. I think track picks are going to be pretty good here, and just keeping your mental high, because last time they had a very big, point differential at the very start, really early on, but they were able to kind of bring it back towards the second half, and they need races like that at the start of this, so their mental is in a better position.
They absolutely do. I think we saw them come back from a lot in the last match. Those first 6 races especially looked really, really tilting, yet they proved strong. They launched a comeback, however, it was a little too little, a little too late. However, if they can play with the intensity they had when they were down 100, in this match, they can make something really, really special happen as we head into Waterloo Stadium for the first race of match 2 with Michigan starting in top 4.
Yep. And this is really good for Waterloo, actually. This is a very big shroom up track here because just after the first boost ramp, there is a big off-road shortcut that you can take with shrooms. And with Waterloo starting in a lot of these bottom spots, I'm assuming, they can all pull shrooms and take this shortcut. And anyone that's in the top can take the shroomlet shortcut. So we'll see lots of people get past here at the start if they get some sort of a bad miss, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we see Bird just shrooming up, instantly getting himself in the second here. Short is in first, but there is tons of Waterloo behind first here just because of how lucrative that first shortcut was. We see Short holding on to this first place spot really well. Pickley trailing that red, hitting a Michigan player out very early on. And right now, it is going to be a battle of who can kill Short to get in the first place here. Pickley getting that little extra MT for that bit of time save there. But we see lots of Michigan in the back there, which is pretty crucial in, potentially pulling blue, so they can keep first place nice and safe.
Short is driving like a man possessed right now. Pickley has taken the shroom up twice now, and Short is still in the lead. However, that changes right now as the blue shell comes in. I see it cursed him just a little bit as it is now advantage Waterloo, with Short trailing second behind. For Michigan seem to be 2, 3, 5, 6 right now, while also holding the bottom 2 spots for Shock. Let's see if Short can make something happen here going into lap 3 as he's holding a green shell behind Pickley, who is alone without support in 1. Short has fire. Short has a lot of chances here to hit Pickley out. However, Pickley is dropping for the blue. Short decides just to take it. He's like, oh well, my teammates are going to go win this race for me as C2D2 heads into the lead. However, Iona pulls Star in cut and Star's out C2D2. That blue shell was amazing for Waterloo despite Michigan's being the one to throw this, as this once again looks like advantage Waterloo as we head into the final few quarters of the lap. We see Short getting hit out. However, Ingot's been hit out as well. We see a Michigan player getting hit out in the front. Short gets hit out again. He needs a bullet bill here to salvage his race. He does get a bullet bill here.
He gets it though.
This looks like a lot of Michigan players at the front behind the sole Waterloo player in 1 as Short
he got ace from that build. He got ace from that build.
And Schauger was holding Shock, it seems. It was not as many Michigan players as I thought. We see a 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 12. That 2, 3 salvaging a lot of points as it is only a 6-point lead for Waterloo. I believe this is the closest the match has been in both matches combined. So let's see.
I'm not going to lie. That's a smaller point differential than I expected. I'm going to be so real here. I thought that was looking way worse for Michigan, but that 2-3 salvaged it way more than what I expected. And now, University of Michigan, it looks like they're going to be going with Dolphin Schultz here, and it looks like we see Waterloo going with Paris. Paris is a really strong runner if you know how to drive it right, and Dolphin Schultz can kind of be a pretty good resetter, which I think Michigan needs just to like kind of reset their positions because they're kind of all over the place right now.
Real quick before we head into this next race, a special shout out for USMK who have raided the stream, who are here to watch CKL D1 semifinals. Welcome, USMK people. You're watching something special right now. That's all I'm going to say. We're seeing two of the best teams in CKL history duking it out for the last spot in finals.
Yep. As we go in to Dolphin Schultz here, we see someone predicting it with the Streetle pick on University of Michigan. They learned their lesson from Cove and decided to go with the gamble that they would get the track pick, and it looks like they got it. Right now, we see Short just cutting up here in 5th place, so he's able to get a lot of touch really early on, as we see some people decide to stick to the back just to take advantage of how good the bagability of Dolphin Shoals is. And we see Short popping out the trail in 5th place here, and he's just holding on to this just to show some sort of aggression towards these Waterloo players. He pulls a Rang, which he might get rid of that Nana soon, so he can be really aggressive with this Rang on this big turn. We'll see if he gets any kills. He hits both of the Waterloo players with that Rang, and now he is in 1st place here, which is a very good position. He has one last throw on that Rang, and that Rang will go extra far, so if there's lots of people near him, he can chuck it up, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like he gets anyone as he gets sent right back down to 8th.
This is such a close pack for Dolphin Schultz. We will no doubt see Short stop here. We see other players stop here as well. However, I don't think the players in the back are far enough from the front to be pulling the shock or the most powerful item on this track, the Bullet Bill. There are 2 insane bill extensions on this track. The Bullet Bill, 2 Bullet Bills can pretty much get you around the entire track, so pulling one does so much for you, as we see the blue coming out to go for the Michigan player in 1st up here. Do they have something to avoid it? Yes, they do. They had a shroom. They avoided it, as we see Pickley going for Motion Glider in 10th. However, he does fail it, but it does put him in a better position to stop at the 1st set and go for shock, as we see Short utilizing the 1st of the bill extensions. Let's see what he can get behind it. Can he get a star to carry up? No, but he can get shrooms. He's up to 2nd from 11th. That is the power of the Bullet Bill, as we see a Michigan top 4 right now on Shoals. They need to pray that shock is not in play. If shock is not in play, they're in such a good position right now. Could C2D2 be holding it in the back right now? He's not done much recently. Waterloo are in a ghost. If they have shock, it comes now. However, it looks to be shockless. This is going to be huge for Michigan. We might see them lead for the very first time this match, as we see a top 2 Michigan. However, they do seem to have gotten bottom 2 as well. It's interesting to see how the mid spot shake out with a top 2, 6, 7, 11, 12. This should be a slight gain for Michigan, as they are only 2 behind in the match now.
Yep. Right here, the start of this match is really what Michigan is looking for. This is looking like the second half of match 1, where it was very, very close races, and this is kind of what Michigan wants. They don't need any of these big races because it might have gotten to their mental last race, so keeping the point diff this low is very good. And this can swing it into their favor if they get a few more races like they got on Dolphin Shoals. And it looks like they are going to be picking DK Jungle as their runner of choice. This track has a very crucial super bounce that can be devastating if you're bumped out. And it looks like Waterloo is going to be picking DK Summit, which is just as much of a toss-up as Dolphin Shoals with how insane the cannon set is.
Yeah, crazy track selection here. Yoshi Bike mains, look away. You will not enjoy either of these tracks as we go to DK Jungle. This is one of Michigan's best runners. However, shock is very, very deadly, and we saw it in the last match. Waterloo was so good at just pulling shocks when they needed to stop Michigan from getting a good race, and it could come down to them needing to do that once more on this track if Michigan start off very well on their runner of choice. As we start with Short's point of view, we are all leading up to the super bounce. This will determine how your race goes. If you manage to get a great super bounce, you are gone. You will be escaping the pack, as Crow and Short get away very well, with Crow giving Short a draft so Short can continue to break away even more. However, we see the Waterloo player of Iona is causing chaos, but Short seems to be off well as he gets Nana sniped off the track.
Yeah, very. Oh, wow. And just gets comboed down to 10th place there. Very, very unfortunate. It looks like it's going to be a battle, I guess, between Waterloo and Michigan up there. You see Short in 10th place here, using that coin because he's going to need it. He is deciding to shroom up here. He's going to try to make his way back into the pack there. It looks like they got C2D2 chucking the blue in the first place there, which can be very, very scary for Waterloo if they don't have something to destroy it, and it looks like they did. And this is looking very difficult for Michigan here because they only have 2 people in top 6 right now. Pickley getting redded out here. That is a star and triple reds from Short. He is able to chuck them back, but unfortunately misses. Pickley using this golden. He needs to get this plant out now because the amount of University of Michigan players that are right in front of him. He's about to get it out, pops it out. Now he can choose to try to slow down and get Short here. Looks like he was able to get him. And now he's just in 6th place. He's off the last of that plant. And there's his shroom. And it looks like in the top there, it is starting to look like a bit of a lead for Waterloo. But there are some Michigan players that are starting to crack up in the top spots. And that is a lot of bottom presence as well for Michigan. So if you're Waterloo, you've got to be wary of a potential shock because it is lap 3. Anything can happen. Pickley pulling out the triple reds here, gonna kind of mess up some people in the pack. We see Short dropping a spot potentially here as he pulls out triple shrooms golden.
Yes, we do see the Waterloo player broken away in 1. However, the blue shell is coming. I don't know if it'll reach in time, but if it does, this could lead into a massive combo and give Michigan the win. However, I do think they are safe in 1. Michigan are 2-3 right now, but the Waterloo players are bearing down on them. Pickley elects to go wide of the cut, trying not to get starred. It's a very close race. Once again, I think it is pretty much a mirror of race 1 with Waterloo getting 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. But once again, the Michigan players getting 2-3, salvaging points, and we only see a 14-point lead despite that great race from Waterloo. So both teams are still in it as we go to race 12, or race 4, not race 12.
Yeah. We are going into the last race of the first GP, and this is really close. The start of this match too is looking really promising. Honestly, it could go either way here just because of how close this has been kept. We see Waterloo going with Paris, and we see Michigan going with Koopa Cape. It looks like someone didn't get the memo and unfortunately picked Sydney Sprint. I say unfortunately because I'm not a big fan of that track, some could say. But it looks like, yeah, we see Paris and we see Koopa Cape. So again, Koopa Cape is one of Michigan's better tracks. So if they can get this, that will be very, very good for them. And it looks like we are going to Koopa Cape, which is exactly what Michigan wants here because of how good the shroom spot is in the water stream section.
We've been waiting to see this track from Michigan all match, and it's finally here. And I'm so excited. Fexican, Short, Crow, Whooper, Shogger, C2D2, all of them are insanely quick on this track. They know all the strats, they know every hidden bit about it in and out. They could drive this track with their eyes closed. So let's see them do it. However, Pickley does get the shroom early as Freddy makes the aggressive play with the green and hits out a Waterloo player. However, Waterloo are holding top 3 with Pickley being the highest shroom up right now. We see a top 5 right now for Waterloo, in fact, but we do head to the shroom up. Can Michigan make some plays? Pickley does maintain his lead. However, we see Fexican in second behind his MK Group teammate. Both of these players will have played so many times together. They know each other in and out. They're playing multiple mind games inside of multiple mind games. However, we do see now a top 2 for Waterloo with Iona with a bomb in second, looking to make something happen with this.
Yep, and we see swapping over the Short POV here. He is in 6th with a shroom, 5th actually, which is actually a pretty solid position to be in. He has 2 now, so he is going to take this first grass cut, avoiding the bomb, and now this looks like a 1-3, I think 4 as well from Michigan, and there's another bomb separating Fexican from the pack even more, but it looks like that might have been a bit of a lag bomb there. It looks like we have Iona trailing a green in second, and Short getting redded out as soon as he chucks that rank forward, but now first place is all alone up there because that is all Waterloo behind first.
It is indeed. Michigan will need a shock right now to make something happen, especially as the blue shell is coming out. It does look like Fexican has lost his first, so Michigan are throwing the blue. Will Short stop here? No, he elects to carry his start through set. That indicates to me that shock is in play, and Michigan are holding on to it, just waiting for the perfect moment to use it. Do they have it indeed, or is Short just trying to run up? If it's out, it comes now as Short makes a slight line fail. Michigan, where is your shock? However, it just seems like they don't have it, but they are 1-3. Short pulls another star. He elects to go into it instantly. Is shock in play? What's happening at this end? As Michigan seem to be in a fantastic spot out of nowhere due to that blue. Short gets another star. He's in blue again. Waterloo players are just dropping like flies right now, and Short is driving through like a procession. That's another one down. Whooper's backing his greens on the line. This is a very, very strong race for Michigan. Out of nowhere, it seemed like they were down and beaten. However, they get 1-3-5-6 on their track pick, making the gap to Waterloo that ever little bit smaller as we have a 10-point war after 4.
Yeah, after the first GP, this is really close. This just shows how good Michigan is and how confident they were in this track pick, because that was looking very grim for them going into lap 3, but they were able to make up those spots very fast. And it looks like Waterloo is going to be going with Berlin byways, and it looks like we're seeing Piranha Plant Slide from Michigan as their runner of choice. Piranha Plant Slide is a very tricky runner. It's a very popular base game runner that you see typically amongst the inside drift players. So I'm interested to see how they use this track pick. It has a very critical shroom cut at the very end that people can use to snag some last second spots. So we'll see how well they can take advantage of it, because if they get this runner, that will be so good for them in their top spots.
It would indeed, and they have gotten it indeed. Piranha Plant Slide is so strong for the player in 1, as they can take the middle path past the Piranha Plant about 10 seconds after the start. Every other player is welcome to take it as well. However, it is at their own peril, as they are left free to be bumped to their heart's content. It is very, very risky to go for the middle strat if you're not at the very front. So let's see if Mexican can use that to his advantage to build a breakaway, get the coins at the start, or quickly bump him out and make something happen for Waterloo, as we see both players going for the middle path. It seems like Pickley is in front, however lag is very, very common on this track. Will Vex can pop up, or Pickley seems to actually have the lead, but he is defenseless in 1. It seems like his teammate Iona is behind him. Pickley has 10 points already. He's just going to begin driving away from the pack, and there's nothing they can do about it until they get to the true up cut. But by then his advantage might be too much, especially if he does SMT glider here, which he elects not to, electing to keep it safe as we head into the end of lap 1. Let's see if the Michigan players shroom up here.
Yeah, it looks like there might have not been a whole lot of streams. We've got to watch out for the green that was thrown up here, but it looks like it doesn't connect with anyone. It looks like we have Pickley in first, Iona still in second, and this is a really good position for Waterloo here, as they have this top 2, which is super powerful on a chocolate coat, and not coat, slide, and there's a shock after the item set, so we could see lots of these Michigan players, breaking into these top spots, because not getting that item set is very, very scary. We were cutting over to Short's POV here. He has 2 shrooms in 8th, dodging the nano that was placed pretty tight, and he has the shroom. He's going to choose to hold on to it here, and I'm assuming he's going to use it at this upcoming shortcut. But again, he's got to be careful of Ingite's greens. Not getting the drift is very scary, because now he's behind Pickley, who is trailing a red in first, which is always something to be scared about.
Yes, this is such a close pack here. It feels like the race just started, but no, we're heading on to lap 3 right now. And just like lap 1, Pickley is in the lead. However, Michigan players are bearing down on him. He does not have the luxury of his teammate in second. However, Short with the red shell makes a tiny, tiny error and loses a bunch of time. He is now stuck behind Ingite, who has triple greens. Ingite is holding on to those triple greens smartly and ends up taking out Crow, but gets green by his own green. Short is trailing a red. He almost takes out his teammate. Can he pull another one to get Pickley? No, but he pulls a shroom. This could just be enough for him to win the race, but it is not. And Pickley backs him on the line as we see Waterloo getting a top 2, with Michigan coming in 3, 5, maybe 4. But out of nowhere.
Yeah, wow. That back on the line would allow 2 other Waterloo players to pass Short right on the line. Short just got so comfortable at the very end there. And I mean, to be fair, pulling a bomb and a green at the last set in the first is insanely good from Waterloo's POV. That was a very nice set of items there, setting the point difference of 24 with Waterloo in the lead here. And we are going into the halfway point here. I mean, the point differential is still really close. So we'll see how this goes. These races have been very back and forth. So I'm interested to see how this is going to be looking after we finish race 6.
Indeed, and we are seeing some tracks that we don't often see. This is the magic of best of threes. The usual tracks for both teams have been thrown out of the window. They've been used up. There's nothing left of them, and we're now seeing the Madrids, the Bangkoks. We're going on a tour across the world, and today we're stopping in the lovely country of Thailand as we head into Bangkok Rush. This is such a fantastic track to watch and play at the top level because of the drafting potential at the start. You will see most of the players go left of the boats instead of taking the tricks, trying to give their teammates a draft so their teammates can be the one to make it out of the river in first and thus control the race as we head into the start. Let's see what the players do. Most of them trick off the first boat, but then go on the left. We see Short letting C2D2 get in front, but Short shrooms up again. C2D2 also has a shroom, and this looks to be advantage Michigan as we head into the first double of the track with Michigan in a top 3 position. Short elects to go for the TT lines, losing spots, but getting more coins. We see Fexigan and Short maintaining their top 2 with C2D2 close behind. This is looking fantastic for Michigan right now.
Yep, we see Short placing that Nana in the staircase, which is always a very scary Nana spot. We're cutting over to Pickley POV here, who's in 5th with 1 revolving Nana. He's probably got to, unfortunately, not able to defend the red with it is very unfortunate. And opting to chalk up that Nana and chalk up the green. So, I don't think that green's going to connect with anyone. And that is a lot of top spots for Michigan here. They were able to really take advantage of getting those top spots early, particularly getting sent to the back, opting to stop the set, which is something that he is going to need to do because they are going to need a shock or a blue to take over this insane front presence from University of Michigan. He has his crazy out, opting to spam all the items, get into the star so he doesn't die to Iona. They are entering lap 3 here, and opting to stop that set is the move here. It looks like there was a blue going on to Michigan, but there is so many of them in the top spots here. We'll see if Waterloo can break into this, but this is a kind of race that, Michigan has been dying to get, and we'll see if they can get it here as they enter the Super Bout section.
Yes, we see Pickley at the previous set using both his dodges instantly. This signals that Waterloo do not have shock and are just trying to minimize the damages. They seem to be doing well at that as we see Sean and Rupert caught up in the back. Michigan still retain their top 2. However, Waterloo knew when it was time to try and salvage and seem to have salvaged some points. This will be a gain for Michigan, but it is a lot less than it could have been, with the top 2, 5, 7, 10, 12 only being about 8 points or so to my knowledge, and it is 8 points of gain for Michigan. They're still trailing. They have not led once in this match, but they are so close, and the lead is in touching distance right now.
Yeah, with how good of a race Bangkok was there, this is looking really promising. We are halfway through the second match, and in this 16-point lead, it is very, very small. It's very close, but that 16-point lead, no matter how small it is, if Waterloo is in the front, that means Michigan's not making it out of semis here, so they need to make these next few races count. It is really close, and they need these to go in their favor, and it looks like we will be going to Rock Mountain from Waterloo, which I know. Iona on Speed Stars, this is, he knows this track the back of his hand. He feels right at home here.
Every team he's on picks this track, and every single time playing against it, you think you're going to get a good race, you seem to be in a perfect position, and somehow the other team ends up Iona's team ends up top 6 and you on the line. I don't know how to play against it, I don't know how to beat it, I don't know if Michigan know how to beat it either, more importantly. So let's see if Waterloo can make good use of their specialty track and extend their lead up at the front, or can Michigan pull some magic out of nowhere and stop this tyrannical reign of Iona on Rock Mountain. As we head into the start, we see about split bottoms, both teams bagging. Shock is so powerful on this track. However, unlike most baggers, Bill is horrible to get on this track, especially in the mid-pack, because you cannot take the shortcuts with the Bill. Let's see as Short is slowing down to get the Waterloo players at the start.
Yep, and it looks like we do see some Waterloo up there in first, and we see Short with Shroom Star here. He's going to opt to stop at set here, which I think is a pretty good move because you are going to want something like Shock on the Shack because it's a pretty strong bagger. We see Short popping the star to get this golden out because he is going to want to start burning this before the big ramp with the glider on it. So we'll see what he can do here. He's going to stop at this set here, and he'll have another set to stop at soon. So yeah, he is opting to pop that star now. He's going to start burning that golden so he can grab this double up here. And it looks like we see lots of Michigan. Oh, and there is Shock right before set. And now he's grabbing that double there. He gets golden Bill. He is burning that now because he wants to get his Bill out soon because
I think he
coming
golden
on
too
lap
early.
3. And it's going to be...
I think he got golden too early. His Bill's going to take him around. Yeah.
Yep.
That's tough. That's really tough. That's
Honestly,
a mistake you only make once.
Yeah, he honestly should have held that golden just till he started touching that grass. So it would have carried him all the way through. But it looks like that is top 2 right there from Waterloo. We have Pickley in second place here with the red. So he can, you know, be very protective over Iona here, backing it on the ramp. And it looks like he has a red and a green. Now there is a blue coming out towards Iona. So hopefully he has something to dodge it here. I'm not too sure though. He is opting to back those shells onto Crow, and it looks like Iona was able to dodge it, and he's able to take the shortcut. In the wise words of Schism, this track drives itself, and it looks like we have Pickley trailing the red up there in fourth, and we have Short popping the ghost, and he's getting that coin, which is not what he needs, and it looks like that is going to be a ton of top spots for Waterloo.
I've been baited by this track once again. I thought Michigan were in a fantastic position. They were all in shroom spots to take the shortcut. And yet, despite all that, Waterloo gets a top 3. I honestly thought Michigan were in the better position heading to the end. I don't understand this track. I think only Waterloo does. And by doing that, they just get gaining races on it. And now the lead is up to 28 points. This is the biggest it's been so far this series. However, it is a far cry from the lead that Waterloo had last series, as we see Short and the rest of Michigan deliberating on which track to pick. They are not sure what they want to pick yet. They are potentially out of tracks. Let's see. We see a Royal Raceway from Michigan. This track is a staple of low div CKL. You will see this track every single match in low div CKL. You never see this track in high div CKL. But right now, Michigan are changing that. Michigan are picking this track. They're trying to make something happen. They're hoping they can catch Waterloo off guard with it. However, Rainbow Road 7 gets picked. This is one of the strongest runners in the game. Once you get halfway through about lap 2, there's no more item sets on this track. And the entire lap 3, there's two single boxes that you can take. So if you could start off well on this track, you will not lose your top spots unless the rare Rainbow Road 7 Shock is pulled. So Waterloo look to be an advantage as we head onto this race with all drivers starting off well. There are very little coins on this track as well, so getting coins is very vital for all the players on this track. And let's see which team does this better as we head into the Spiral of Doom.
Yep, and this turn is very laggy. Players tend to just hold their items through this and not be aggressive because sometimes you can just magically end up hitting your teammates. And it looks like we have Ingite getting a very early lead, Pickley popping the trail just to be very aggressive at his spot here. And he has Whooper, who also has a trail out. He's going to chuck the green forwards, and unfortunately, I think, yeah, that didn't hit. I'm sorry. The lag was just sending Whooper all over the place. He is opting the trail again, and Pickley being aggressive with the green, making sure he has nothing, and Whooper getting hit by a Nana. That is a top 3 lead for Waterloo. It looks like Pickley is pulling out another Nana here, and unfortunately, I think his teammate behind him isn't actually getting redded out, and Enor is now in front of him, so Pickley can opt to trail this Nana and be very aggressive with that as he goes into the moon section. We'll see if anyone takes over, but I do not think so. This track just has very few shortcuts, so it's really hard to take over. So we'll see how this goes for Waterloo going into this last section.
Yes, this section has a very interesting conundrum. You could either take the glider, which is much slower, or you can stay on the bottom path and only get one set. The glider gives you 2. We see most players electing for speed, going the bottom path to stay closer, as we see Short making a slight mistake. That'll confine him to 12th place in the race. This is looking really good for Waterloo right now, as you have a lot of players in the back and Waterloo have a lot of players in the front. Blue was thrown very late. It seems like Waterloo was holding that. And I think that's a massive race for Waterloo, and it is indeed, with the top 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. This will push their lead past the magic 40-point marker. Michigan, even if they get top 6 in a race, will still be trailing behind Waterloo. And as we see 4 races to go, Waterloo are in a fantastic position to win this match.
Yeah, we are going into the last GP. And, point differential by 48, it is leaning towards Waterloo's favor, but, I mean, it is not impossible for Michigan. Michigan is going to be going with the Royal Raceway here. They have bottom 3, so they're going to need something that they can catch up on pretty easily. And it looks like Waterloo is going to be picking the runner of Bowser's Castle. And it looks like we are going to be going to Bowser's Castle here from Waterloo. So, I mean, this is their runner of choice, and they have been able to keep tons of top spots on their runners. So let's see how well they can do it.
This could be the last GP of Michigan's season, and if they want it not to be, we need to see something special from them right now. Time is running out. Literally, TikTok clock is not on the board anymore, but also in this match, there is no time left. They need to start getting winning races, and they need them now, and they need to make something happen at the start of PC. If Waterloo is able to break away on this track, it is so hard to regain a lead. As we see all the players starting off well, Rupert is up at the front looking to cause chaos, but it does look like a Waterloo party elsewise. Pickley takes his triple greens to the side path. He sees his teammates going to the right path. He elects to avoid them, and now he has Crow caught behind him. He's a cat playing with his prey. What can Crow do to get past Pickley? As Pickley misses the box, he elects to just hold his triple greens and make nuisances for this Michigan team. Short is trying to get something done with this fire, but he elects to slow down, not take the cut, and just try and cause problems for Waterloo, trusting his teammates, who do seem to be in top 2 right now. This is what Michigan need. If they can keep this up, this is their ticket back into the match.
Yep, and we see Short with triple shrooms in 10th place here. He is going to have to make some sort of comeback. However, he does have 2 of his teammates in top 2 there, which is a great position. But right now, they're probably going to need something to get everyone else back into the pack, because behind that top 2 is all of the Waterloo players, which is a very scary position for those Michigan players to be in. However, they actually now have top 3, which is really good. It looks like Short, he's grabbing that double here. He does pull a dodge, and it does look like we have C2D2 in the back, just making sure nothing bad happens. We see Pickley with a red in 4th place here, and Blue is out going for the Michigan players, so maybe they have something to dodge it. Who knows? Pickley barely dodging the fire just around that turn. It looks like there's quite a lead with these top 2 players from Michigan here, and yeah, we'll see what they can do to maintain it. Just going into that glider section, Pickley is in this mid-pack here with a red and a shroom. Honestly, holding the shroom isn't that bad of an idea for that last turn. You see them entering the last item set here. We'll see what he can do. He gets the UMT glider, and it looks like he's waiting to see C2D2 is in front of him. He can chuck that red up, gets hit by the fire. C2D2 pops the SAR to avoid the red. That is going to be a top 3 from UM there, and we'll see if, Pickley can salvage. He gets 9th place there. This is looking to be a pretty solid race for Michigan. That is a top 2, 4, 7, 8, 11. That is a very good race to put Michigan back into the game here.
That's exactly what Michigan needed. That's what the doctor ordered for them. They've got 3 races to go. They've got 32 points to go. They need to start scoring 10, 12 points per race if they want to continue to make up this deficit. However, they are in the best possible position to do so. I anticipate them picking Daisy Cruiser here. It's not been played yet. It's one of their best runners. And we see in the second match, Freddie especially has come alive. He is Michigan's #1 guy on the team, and he needs to perform if Michigan want to win this match, and he is doing that right now. Better late than never. Freddie is here to show how to do it. And we see a crazy pick from Waterloo, hoping to stop the Michigan momentum with a DK Summit pick. one of the craziest, wackiest tracks in the game. You never know what's going to happen on this track, and it could just be the chaos that Waterloo needs to seal up this match.
Yep, and it looks like we are going to be going to DK Summit. This track, like I said earlier when they were picking Dolphin Shoals, this is a big toss-up track. The cannon set makes this very inconsistent, along with the double shortcut, making it a prime spot to shock players in. So we'll see how well Michigan can hold the top spots here, because I don't think they'll last too long, especially with the high likelihood of very big power items being pulled.
Indeed. Let's see if we see any players electing to bag off rip. We do see a Waterloo player stopping. Bagging on this track is very, very smart due to the cannon set, due to the broken items you will get. That Waterloo player, I'm going to assume it's Ingite. He probably has a star. He probably has triple shrooms right in front of it. He's probably going to run it up right now.
Yep.
We see Short getting his money up. On this track, there are very, very little coins, and having money is such a huge advantage here.
Ooh, that is a deadly Nana on the double right there. Short was barely able to maneuver around it, opting to use all of his triple shrooms to get some sort of defense here, and he gets a ring. That is a fantastic pull for him here, as he and C2D2 sit in 3-4 here, and I think they also have second place here. I can't really, yeah, they have second, as Waterloo has first. And
they don't have enough in bottom four. Someone needs to stop.
Yeah.
No one's stopping in Michigan. They only have Sean in bottom four. This could be really, really bad. They're risking a lot right now. They still have 3 races to make up this deficit. They don't need to take this risk now, but they want to eliminate this deficit now, as Short ends up getting starred by his teammate C2D2. Iona's in a good position. Has the hubris struck Michigan? Does Waterloo have Shock yet? It seems like Michigan have gotten away with it for now. Shock is not in play yet. However, a player will need to drop with Sean in the back unless they want to continue risking this 5-man run on DK Summit of all tracks.
Yep, we see Pickley in 7th place here. He is going to go into the cannon set, pull some potentially pretty good items here. It looks like he has a golden here, which isn't what he really wants. He would want a dodge going into here because of the high likelihood of shock. We see C2D2, oh, that was some lag, but there is a lot of Waterloo back there, but they also do have top 2. Right now, University of Michigan, because it's looking like there's surprisingly no shock at the moment, they're going to need to make up as many spots as they can. Pickley is turning on the smart string so he doesn't die at the end of this. He's popping the golden. We'll see how many spots he can salvage, but it looks like Waterloo is going to be getting first, and it looks like Michigan's going to be getting everything behind them.
Indeed, it does look like this is a Waterloo bottom 3 right now if Sean can hold on to his position in the back, which will be good points on the board for Michigan as we wait for all the last players to cross the line. And we see a 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. That will be a small gain for Michigan, but it's not as much as they would have hoped for, as it is now 28 points with 2 to go. Michigan need to get 2 plus 14s or equivalent if they want to at least tie this match and force it to a tiebreaker.
Yeah, this is looking really, really scary. I mean, they're going to need some pretty good races. It's such a close point diff. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to say I wouldn't be surprised, but like, dang, there is a possibility they could, like, it's sad to think about, but they could lose by the smallest margin at the very end. You never know. I mean, we see a wide assortment of tracks here. We see Moonview Highway, Squeaky Clean Sprint, and Maple Treeway, and a random from Iona there. So we'll see what this ends up going to. It looks like we are going to be going to Maple Treeway here from Michigan. So this is their track of choice. They are getting that track look on their side, but are they going to be oh my gosh. Are they going to be able to take advantage of it? Because that is, you know, just what makes, is what's going to make this match for them.
Do you want to know what I'm thinking right now, Wisp?
What's up?
I'm dreaming of the 19 race war scenario. It's possible, and it would be amazing to see it in this situation. For those of you unaware, the 19 race war happens if by 12 it's tied. You play an extra GP. If at the end of that GP it is still tied, you start playing individual races to force the tiebreaker. I can't think of anything better for this match. I think the players would definitely disagree with me, but I would absolutely love to see this go into a tiebreaker to increase the excitement, as it looks like Short is off to a fantastic start on the start of Treeway with defense in 1. However, Ingate has a red shell behind him and is bearing down upon him with a lot of Waterloo players behind him.
Yep, it looks like we have Pickley with a Shroom in third here, and that is a lot of bottom spots for Michigan. I mean, hey, it's Maple Treeway. There's a lot of time to make up these spots here, and a lot of time to potentially pull something like Shock that they can take advantage of. It looks like we're going to be seeing Pickley Shroom up here. There is a blue going for the Waterloo players, which is insanely good. If they're not careful, this could blow up both of the Waterloo players, but Ingai is able to slow down. So only Pickley gets hit, and Short is getting bombed. I'm pretty sure that was Inguy's bomb, and now I think this is looking to be a pretty nice lead from Michigan. Short opting to stop at the setup, which I think is a pretty optimal move because they're going to need some power items to catch back up. And by the looks of the minimap, that is a lot of Waterloo in the top spots, and Short is going to have to make some sort of comeback here.
Yeah, luckily for Michigan, there is a cannon set. The very first set of this track is a cannon set, just like on DK Summit.
Ooh.
And Short has pulled Shock right now. He's keeping it hidden. He doesn't need to. There's not a single Waterloo player in range. However, Michigan know they need to get this Shock absolutely perfect if they want to save their match. They're waiting. They're going to wait. They're getting all their players' dodges at this cannon, and they're going to punish Waterloo right after this next set. Get ready, it's happening as soon as the 4 Waterloo players cross that set. The Shock comes from Waterloo. One of the Waterloo players rips the Shock instead. Michigan were too late to pull the trigger on that, and this could be the end of their match right now as all the Michigan players were caught holding their dodges unprepared.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not careful, this could be a potential top 6 from Waterloo, which would be insane between two of these Division 1 teams in semifinals. I mean, we could see them close it out right here, right now. We see Short pulling a blue, but it's not going to do a whole lot of damage to these top spots. He's pulling triple shrooms, not enough to catch up. This is looking to be a pretty big lead. There's another Shock pulled at the very end. Short is going to be able to close this race out in 11th place here. It's not a top 6, but it's a very big race. That is a top 5 from Waterloo, and that right there closes out the match. That is a plus 60 lead from Waterloo going into the last race. That is going to call semifinals. Waterloo is going to be your winner for this, and now they get to have their victory lap at the very end.
I have gotten a promise from the captain of Waterloo. He told me that if the match was decided, they would pick Mary Mountain. So I am hoping he follows through. Please, Pickley, I love you, man, but our relationship might be in danger. We might not be friends anymore if we don't see this come through. I would love to see the Mary Mountain. What better than the most festive track to celebrate your win and your ascension to the D1 finals than Christmas itself? As I see Short going back to the Wario combo that he played on in the first match. I wonder if Pickley has done the same. Mary Mountain is on the board. Come on, come on, come on. I've never rooted harder for a track selection in my life. I really hope we see it.
Oh, someone looks like someone RQ'd. Dang.
Please, let's see the mountain. No, it's not gonna
be.
It was not meant to be.
Going to Waluigi pinball.
It was not meant to be. We will just have to see Waterloo win CKL finals by a margin and pick it there. I have full faith in them, the Mary Mountain pickers, but. This is Waterloo's day. They've been so fantastic today. They've played so well in every race, just doing everything they needed. That Shock right there on Maple Trio was the moment of their match. They knew Michigan were holding it. They knew Michigan were looking for a massive, massive Shock play, and they just pulled it themselves and got it out of the way ASAP. And that was the decider in the match. Michigan were caught. They didn't have enough time to pull a second Shock until the very, very end. And as a result, Waterloo have won the match and are now taking their victory lap on PD Piranha, Bad Wagon, and the Red Monster Tire on Waluigi Pinball.
Yep, and we see Pickley just in 11th here, goofing off with the silly combo. And I'm pretty sure there is a bot that is linked on the Tri-Racer, which is pretty funny. So we'll see how well my goat Link does. But right now we have Pickley here, who is in 8th, 9th-ish? I don't know. He's in these bottom spots. There's Link, the goat, shooming up. Got to be careful of Whooper's red trail here. Yeah, opting to back out because he knows he can get punished instantly for passing him. Short on the Wario Landship combo right here. Shooming on landing. Link is all the way in top 4. What is Blood doing? We see him in 3rd place here with Shroom and a Horn, and he can opt to Shoom up here and Horn out Bird. We'll see what he does. Gotta watch out for the potential back rain from the Funky. He ends up throwing it forwards, and it looks like he's taking it tight, slowing down, gets the red and the player. and now he has a red in second place here. And I think that is another Michigan player in first place that is just running away with it.
Absolutely. Michigan seem to be doing so well in this race. It's a big pity for them that it couldn't come earlier. However, we see the blue shell being pulled by Pickley. It's getting ready. It has the Michigan's player name on it. There will be no jockeying before this blue shell. It will be connecting unless the player in one has a horn or a shroom. However, we now see Pickley into third on the PD front of Bandwagon. He does get hit. That hitbox is just too big. Any stray item will be making a connection with him. Where we see Pickley stopping for the shocker. Will he continue to race on? He does. Enor carries the star through set. He could have something behind it. It is Bill. Enor is building up to catch up with the rest of the pack. I don't believe Shock is in play just yet. However, Waterloo could pull one. They've been so good at pulling it this entire match. As we cut over to Short now. Shock is in play. I don't know who Shock that was, but I believe that was Waterloo's. But Short pulls a star in 3. This is going to give him so much speed. We see the Parada plant held by Whooper in the Ghost going, and this is a 1-3-4-5 for Michigan as they salvage some points here at the very end.
Yeah, and that was it. That was a 1-3-5 from Michigan, closing out the match and closing out the set. That is going to be a 2-0 from Waterloo, winning this second match by 46. Fantastic performance from both teams here, putting up a very, very good performance for the viewers today.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic match to watch. The rematch from last season, both teams giving it their best. And unlike last season, we see Waterloo coming out on top. They practiced in the off season. You have to say they deserve this. They've put in so much effort for this match, and now they've got the chance to redeem themselves. We've seen it in the past season. Michigan in season 2 lost finals. They followed up with a win. Can Waterloo repeat history and do the same as Michigan and follow it up? We will be streaming D1 CKL finals this Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to be there. See if Waterloo can write their names in the history book, or if the university, Florida International University, can win their Division 1 title that they've been aiming for. We have the captain of Waterloo right now, Mr. Pickley himself, coming in for an interview. Welcome,
What
Pickley.
is up, Pickley? Nice performance from Waterloo there. How are you feeling after that 2-0 win against Michigan?
Oh, what can I say? We are like on absolute adrenaline rush right now. First of all, I need to shout out both of my parents who stayed up to watch this Waterloo Water War, even though I thought they were disappointed in me for playing this game still. I'm very happy that they are here to support me. But how do I feel? It feels absolutely amazing. It feels wonderful to get the revenge on the team that smoked us out of the final last time, and to, I guess, make our way onto a very difficult FIU team for the finals.
Absolutely, yes. This FIU team is so scary now that they have picked up Diego 6. So who knows what will happen in finals. I can't wait for them. It's got to be fantastic. Is there any preparation you guys are doing for finals, Pickley? If you're willing to reveal, of course.
Oh, there was a lot of preparation last season. This season, sometimes you just got a ball. That's all we say. We gotta, we gotta harness our inner Waterloo, harness our inner shock pulling abilities that happened a lot during this war, and we have to harness the W. Usually, our wars against FIU, they either completely smoke us or we completely smoke them. There's no in between. We just gotta hope that it's in our favor then, and we'll let the best team win. That's all that can be said.
I'm hoping it's not a smoking by any team. I want it to be closed for the stream. It'll be a lot more fun that way. But, that's all right. I have one more question. This is for my personal curiosity. How the absolute heck do you guys always win on Rock Mountain? I keep thinking there's no way they're going to do it again. I'm thinking like everyone's going to take up the shroom cut, and every single time you guys get a top 4. How do you do it?
Speedstars player diff. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Speedstars player. Not only Speedstars player diff, but Team Canada. They don't know this, but they hate to admit it. I know Tynan hates to admit it, playing for Western Atlantic Canada with him as well. But Team Canada doesn't realize that Rock Mountain is actually their best track. I think something with the Rocky Mountains we have in Vancouver, it's ingrained with our souls. Rock Mountain just speaks to us like no other. And there's just that guiding light that takes us there to the victory every single time. We can't really disclose our information of how we play the track because, to be honest,
That's
we don't really
unfortunate.
think. We just drive. We
That's
just drive, and
unfortunate.
it
I'd
happens.
love to learn, but I'm not Canadian, so I guess I don't deserve that knowledge yet.
Yeah, basically, just get a Canadian citizenship, and you'll realize that in lounge you'll get lots of 15 points, lots of 12 points, lots of 10 points. Just become Canadian, and you will do well on that track.
All right. I love hearing about all of the Rock stuff because I am on a team with a Speedstars player outside of CKL. So, I understand the love from Rock, or a former Speedstars player, I should say. But yeah, I totally get the love for Rock. I love seeing all of y'all's interesting track picks like that. It's always fun to watch.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that is the end of the stream for now. Waterloo fans who are watching, make sure to tune in Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Waterloo will be taking on FIU in the grand finals to try and get their first Division 1 crown and to become the second CKL team to win 2 gold banners. If you are a Michigan fan, well, University of Michigan 1 is out. Their second team plays tomorrow night, also at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. They are playing their best of 3 against Virginia Tech in semifinals of Division 5. They have played the first match already. University of Michigan hold a 1-game lead, and they look to finish the job tomorrow night. So make sure to tune in. It was an absolute pleasure casting today. Thank you from me, from Wisp. Thank you to all the players. Thank you to all who watched. Have a great night, everyone.
Stay
Thank you very
guided.
much.